So today we're at the lovely Monk Lakes and we're sitting on Lake 3, probably one of the most famous pegs in Kent, and it's 113. And the aim today is to try and catch some carp. When it's really cold, fishing along the far bank vegetation here. Hopefully we should get a few fish, but as I say, it is very cold, so might be few and far between. But if we're patient, take our time, not feed too much bait, I'm sure we'll put a few fish in the net. So the rigs for today's session, we've set up 3 rigs. As I say, it's very cold, so we're not really sure how good or how bad it's gonna be. But we've seen a few fish moving against the far bank there, so we've sort of added that into the armoury as well. So the rig for the far bank is quite simple. It's 017 power line to an 013 hook length with a 14 GPMB. On this, we're looking to fish corn, so we want quite a big, strongish hook. Obviously it's winter, so the carp are not going to be pulling quite as hard. Float wise, we've got on there a 4x14 Carp shallow, and just got a simple spread bulk of number 9 shots. The reasoning behind this is we can spread these out a bit more if we want it to drop through the water. Or again, we can bulk them right up all on top of the hook length if we need to, if it's really good. One thing I will point out is we've fished quite a heavy elastic still. It's set very soft. It's a 17 Dura slip, and that is because we've got all these trees and bits and pieces. When we do hook a fish, we want to have a bit of oomph behind there just to keep them away from any snags that they're going to be heading for. So the other 2 rigs that we've got set up today, one's for a top 5 straight out in front of us. We're just gonna throw maggots on that line. We might catch a few silvers there to start, but I think if we feed fairly positively throwing maggots towards the end of the session, we could have a really good spell of carp on that. As I say, here we do have lots of silverfish matches, and you always seem to be hooking carp on a long pole. So if all else fails, we'll fish a long pole. We're gonna feed it a bit more positively with some ground bait and some maggots to specifically try and entice those carp in, because we are targeting them today. The rigs for both these lines are identical. It's basically the same depth, so we can use identical rigs. So the floats for both these rigs are both identical, and they're the trusted F1 maggot. Probably, in my opinion, the best maggot hook out there. Very durable, does exactly what it says on the tin. These are both made up on 013 power line main line. Shotting's very similar. We've just got basically a tapered bulk. The longer line, I fish number 10s. The shorter line, number 9s. As I say, I think that short line late on throwing maggots will be good. So just fish slightly bigger shot. Both hook lengths, again, are exactly the same. However, on the long line, I fished a 4-inch, on the short line, a 6-inch, and they're 010 power line to a 16 SFL hook. Into our 3rd fish of the day. I think we've had 2 or 3 fish. Ooh, that was a bite. That one was definitely a bite. Yeah, so we've caught 3, I think, and as I say, Zolt's just gone round there with the camera and upset everything a little bit, but we have just had the first indication since. So hopefully now we'll start getting a few more bites. The first 2 or 3 came quite quickly, just 2 or 3 minutes after feeding our corn and our pellets. Did just miss a bite there, so missed one and laid it back in, and it's almost like it's gone over one's back and gone straight under again. Might be worth refeeding, but we'll give it another 30 seconds. There's one. As you can see, we're fishing quite a snaggy peg today. So although we're fishing not overly heavy line wise, still had to fish quite a heavy elastic because they are desperate to get in these trees. It does feel slightly milder today, so I think they've just woken up a little bit. Get this one in. Feels like another good fish. Must admit, we've not caught any little ones. Here he comes. First time. It's another probably 7 or 8 pound, that one. Hooked in the top lip, that's where we like to see them. There we go. Let's just fill back up. Single grain of corn on the hook. Don't want a bit that's too big, and just hooking it through the side, so most of the bend of the points, most of the bend of the hook is in the corn. Just got the point hanging out. And although I'm fishing a fairly heavy elastic, that's a 17 hybrid, it's setting there really loose. But as I say, it's just to stop those fish getting in those snags, because for whatever reason they still know where they are, even though it is the middle of winter, and they're dead set on getting there. As I say, we've kept everything really tight. So just against the bank there where I'm fishing, there's a little orange reed. I'm just making sure that every time I drop my rig in and my bait, I'm lined up with that little orange reed. Just a tiny little bit of bait, as I say, one grain of corn, 4 mils and 10 micros in the pot every drop. It's just enough to keep them interested. As you can see, we've still got the float dotted right down because they're still shy. Be fair, when we have had a bite, we have had an indication before, so you kind of know when it's coming. You do get a little liner and then it'll shoot under. Still fished quite a heavy mainline, fished 017 mainline, but again, that is because you've got all those snags and bits and pieces there. But we've just reined it in on the hook length. There's another one. Strange. What we are going to do, just going to stick a plummet back on and just make sure we're happy with that depth. Seem to be getting a few indications and no proper bites. Just make sure everything's right, rather than just keep missing bites and foul looking fish. Getting liners on the plummet here. Maybe just needs to come down a little bit, if anything. Just going to try feeding a little bit extra. I'm just going to double the bait this time. So we go with eight 4 mils and a bigger pinch of micros and 2 bits of corn. And we'll just see if that can give them a little bit more to eat, because they seem to be mopping in everything up quite quickly. So back in on that spot, pick your marker, keep everything tight. Still don't want to go too giddy with the bait because, as I say, it is cold. We don't want to overcook it. Start feeding too much, they could just disappear on us. There we go. Just up that bait a little bit there. Made him home in on it. Big fish this one, and he's not even fighting. There we go. Real weight builders, those ones. Thing is now, because there is quite a lot of fish there, important thing is to not get too giddy. You don't want to start feeding loads of bait and getting too excited, because they could all disappear very quickly. So we just keep plodding along, don't change anything too drastically. If we're going to change anything, just subtle changes. A little bit more bait, a little bit less bait. Just until we come up with a solution where everything's getting hooked in the mouth. Lots of fish here at the minute. Another liner there as soon as the bait's got towards the bottom. Another one. Not as big, this one. Little rattler. Still gonna take him. Scourger out for this one. Same again. 8 pellets, pinch of micros, 2 bits of corn. Now that there's lots of fish there, it's just a case of repeating the process, taking your time, making every fish count. On a cold day like this today, if you can put together 80, 100 pound of these, which isn't a lot of fish, when they're 7, 8, 9 pound a go, you'll definitely be there or thereabouts. As soon as that bait goes in, you start getting an indication. Just trying to make sure you don't strike at liners. Sometimes it's hard in winter because every time that float goes under, you want to strike. Still in that same hole. Just being a little bit careful how I lay my rigging, because I seem to be laying it over the back of a few, which are the ones that are foul hooked. Just trying to make everything straight before I lower it down. There's one. Much better bite. Smaller ones seem to be pulling harder than the bigger ones today. So seeing as we had an instant response to that corn and he's hooked properly, we'll go again next drop in with the four or five bits of corn again. Flick a few maggots on that short line while we're at it. That one's bloody moved a bit of reed where I want to be fishing, which is always handy. So again, what I'm doing now is I'm making my whole rig straight and lowering it down, straight down the hole, because do seem to be foul looking fish when I'm laying my rig in. Another indication there straight away that I don't want to strike at, because that's definitely a liner. I mean, you're always going to get a few liners, but if you can try and minimise it by changing up the way you're feeding your bait, always helps put more fish in the net. See, at the moment with that 5 bits of corn, we are getting an odd liner, but when the float goes under, he's generally in the mouth. Another one desperate to get in the tree. As I say, you need to be a little bit careful because we're only fishing 0.13 hook length. Another big fish, that one. Oh yeah, he's a nice big mirror. Ooh, almost too big for the net. Go on then, wobble him in. Ooh. They're the ones you want. See if he'll let me hold this one up for a nice picture. Put that top kit down. Is he going to be obliging? Oh yeah, look at that. So now we've cut out the micros and the 4mm pellets. We're not getting as many indications, but when the float does go under, he's pretty much on. So these carp are definitely eating today. We just fed the 5 bits of corn and missed 2 bites. Now we can't get an indication. I think what we need to do is feed the 5 bits of corn again. Try and draw them back into that bait. See if we can get one back into the bait. Again, lined up with our marker. Drop our 5 bits of corn in. There we go. Feels like another silverfish, this one. Yeah. Another nice skimmer. Very interesting, this lake, because whenever you seem to catch skimmers, the carp are never very far away, and vice versa. In the silverfish matches here, you seem to get 2 or 3 skimmers, and then all of a sudden you catch a carp or 2, and then the skimmers come back. Just going to feed some pellets again, this guy. It's going to feed 4 mils though, rather than micros. 8 4 mils, 3 bits of corn. It's all about just coming up with a little combination that works. Get you a run of fish, then you might have to change. Little indication there. There we go. Well, we've had a lovely day here today at Monk Lakes. Caught lots and lots of carp. Probably more than we expected to catch, considering how cold it is. And they've been in the shallower part of the peg, to be honest, against the far bank there. It just goes to show what a lovely day you can have for carp in winter. It's not all just about catching silverfish. So there we are, the last fish of the day. Just goes to show, even in the depths of winter, if you keep it simple, don't feed too much, and ring the changes, just goes to show what results you can have. So don't forget to like and subscribe to the Preston Innovations YouTube channel page for other great content.